has my soul burned so?
What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and in today's video we're talking about a recent interview from GamerEscape and Michael Christopher Koji Fox that was held out actually at FanFest in Las Vegas in 2018. Now, this interview is deep, it's got a lot of questions, and we're not going to cover them all, so be sure to check out the link in the description below to give both GamerEscape some love, get them those clicks, as well as kind of catch up on anything that I didn't cover. But I want to highlight several of the most interesting questions, at least that I found from a lore perspective, for your information and for discussion. But again, because we want to always make sure we give the source some love, be sure to click the link in the description below. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So GamerEscape says, let's start with some cosmological clarity. So much has changed since the last time that we talked about it. You mentioned in the past that the 13 different dimensions, shards, branched off from the source at the same time. And these 14 dimensions have been diverging ever since. More recently, the Omega story arc shows us that he's traveling across this vast interstellar, at least, space. How much of the source's dimensions universe is copied over? Do you guys know? And Koji responds, well, I can't tell you that a lot of stuff regarding source and shards, and that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be explained in a lot of the upcoming patches and expansions. So I've been told not to get too deep into it. We've had a lot of these questions as well for Oda-san, and we can't really talk about these just now, but answers are coming. But in the sense of how far is the split? To my knowledge, the split is focused mainly on Hydaelyn, the planet, being split. Now, as far as it extends, that's one of those things that I'm going to have to confirm with Oda-san. I think other questions like, is Hydaelyn the only planet that's split? Are there other planets that split? Can you talk about the Dragon Star? That confirms that there are other planets, so Hydaelyn is not the only planet in the universe. But is the Dragon Star a part of the Source universe, or is it a different universe? And what about the Dragon Star? Does it also split into 13? Do all planets split into 13? The only thing that I can confirm is that Hydaelyn is not the only planet in the universe. But beyond that, it's going to be one of those things that we're just going to be talking about in the near future. Hopefully, a lot of those answers are going to come to light. And oh my goodness, this is an interesting thought. It's something I've never really kind of explored because I never took it that the universe itself didn't split, that it was this specific planet split. But if the universe is still maintained and it never quote unquote split into the 13 shards and just the planet, you know, it's just really fascinating to me. Does that mean that Omega, when he travels to Hydaelyn, the 13 copies of him are made, or does he pick what source that he's going to go into, or it's really interesting, and I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. Like, what do you think about the split, the shards, as it relates to the global and the universe within the world that 14 lives in? What does this mean for like other worlds and varying connected things? Guys. Anyway, I'm gonna get back into the interview. That's the first question, most interesting. Let's go ahead and move on. So GamerEscape asks, so Omega and Midgard Stormer are definitely from the source dimension, just from out there somewhere. And Koji says, I'm going to say I think so, but again, that's one of those things that I would really like to confirm. At least from what I know so far, yes. We're not talking about splits there. In a faraway place, you have Midgard Stormer, and in a faraway place there's Omega and his creators, and then traveling the Sea of Stars to do his Omega stuff, and then wanting to become man. So GamerEscape follows up, I know I ask this every year, but I have to. Is the game still in its own universe? Is it not connected to any other game universes? And Koji responds, at this point, but there is one of those things Yoshida-san has said in some interviews where you get this question. Is the lore set first and then you build the quest off of that? While we all have this core lore, Yoshida thinks that the writers should be able to write whatever they want and not have to worry about the lore. Then they can take it to the lore team, and then it's the lore team's job to make it fit within the rules that they have established. Yoshida-san wants to give complete freedom to the writers to be able to create anything they want and not to be restricted. They won't want to think, I want to do this, but there's this weird rule about Aether. It's the lore's team job to make it fit within the rules that we have. If you look at how Aether works in 1.0 versus now, it's pretty much how it goes. But no, it's not connected to the Final Fantasy XII universe or the Dragon Quest universe. I mean, we did have that crossover. We were talking about this like recently just off of the stream, talking about like, is Final Fantasy connected to Final Fantasy XII? Is 14 connected to 12? Because you have all these Evilisian, things, Dalmasca, Rabanastar. And I think at the core of it, I think at the root of all of it is really quite interesting. Obviously, I don't think we are. I think that 14 is its own, but there's obviously theories that we've seen where they say that 14 is kind of the source or the center universe within all the Final Fantasy games, and it's kind of the first universe. But as far as it goes, I think that's all. It's kind of fun to speculate on, but I can't say for certain if that is the case. It is something that I think I like Yoshida's response. I like his idea because, let's make the lore, let's make the world work within the game and what they've established. Let's let the writers have a lot of fun. And that's, I think, going to lead us to a lot of really cool and interesting stories as apparently not being dictated by some version of a rule that might have been written a long time ago. But that's just me. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking here. So for you Makoti fans out there, GamerEscape asks, where's the Makoti lore these days? There are a lot of hints that Merisita might have been involved, and those references were pruned away, and now it's all about Isildard. What's the truth? Koji responds, first off, we have so many eras. You talk about them coming over the land bridge, and that's all been very recent. In general, people are migrating everywhere. Think about it in terms of Earth, where there are people and how do they move over 1,000 years. Now multiply that by 6 eras. It's happening here in Orzia. The Calamity, it gets too hot, it gets too cold, people move in and find a place that's better, they break off there and come back. So the 5th umbral comes and the ice starts appearing and disappearing all over again. And then you can get it from different places and you couldn't get it before. Sometimes even the Southern Isles where the Lalafell are from, the Makoti are coming back from Ilzabard and they're coming back from Erisidia, but they gotta get it in different time periods. They converge on places that are rich in Aether because that's where it's all about. Places that have more Aether are going to be more lush and better before growing crops and surviving, and there's going to be animals. And we explain that. Everybody ends up converging in Eorzea because that's the place where the best Aether is, and that's where you're going to have the best hunting. The Makoti, especially being hunters, are all going to follow the best animals and where they are, and that's where it's all going to be rich. You go beyond that and it starts losing that. Now there's still Aether everywhere in the world, but it's in the rich places where people converge. It's like a Mesopotamian thing. There you have the 2 rivers there, the rest is desert. People are going to come back even if they get shut out by a flood, and they're going to come back in some time. Everyone wants more lore on this stuff. The problem is that we have all these stories to tell, but when we go into these new areas and we focus on that stuff, the writers want to write about the new stuff and the players want to hear about the new shiny things in front of them. But at the same time, people want to know about the Ora and the Makoti and the Duskrites, and we haven't heard anything about them. We just have this really all moody and dark. But then, of course, Yoshida and the quest team have all these new areas. I just had to talk with Yoshida-san about questions for the Q&A, and we're asking about races and clans. And the big thing is that more people over here in North America are hardcore role players, and they want to know more about the characters they're playing, and they become those characters. And it's not that deep in Japan. So I think the interesting thing that I really draw from this answer is obviously talking about how the Aether, it makes everything more lush, it gives everything more life, it gives everything, it draws people together like 2 rivers converging in a desert. I never really thought of it that way, but it's really quite interesting because I've always wondered why Eorzea, why any of this, what is happening, what ends up bringing it all together. And it's just really quite fascinating. At its core, the understanding or the concept of Aether, how it is kind of a part of the live stream, how it is a part in a big piece of this. I remember them talking about it early on in 1.0's development, but not to that degree, and I really appreciate Koji's answer on this thought. So I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on anything when it relates to Mericidia. Are we going to hear more about it in the upcoming 5.0 expansion, or is that going to be something saved for a New Dawn at some point? And I wonder if we're gonna call the next 6.0 a New Dawn, but we'll have to wait and see. So GamerEscape says, in 1.0 we found those Allegan runestones, and they had the symbols of the 12 on them. Later it was said the Allag made them for abandoning worship of the 12. So you have these runestones of Menfina. But it has 2 moons, and they made a second moon. They made that second moon, and way later, what is this? Koji says, I have no idea. Maybe the moon is a reflection on Silvertear Lake. Let's go with that. It's that now. I don't know. That's so funny. So GamerEscape asks, a lot of information seemed to be catatonic shifting just before 1.0 is released. Right before launch, for example, they said, here's a calendar. And then it comes out, and right after, totally different calendar. Ringing a bell? Koji says, yeah, I had to translate that stuff. And GamerEscape responds, okay, do you have any idea why, with the Orzord and stuff, all of the elemental cycles ended up starting with ice, but with the Calamities, it's wind? Koji says, no idea. I don't remember all the Calamities in order. We decided beforehand. Or if we had one or two, we decided, and then we decided to write the lore book. And like, oh my gosh, we had to come up with the order for those ones. I can tell you that there is no significance to that so many start with ice though. And then GamerEscape asks, how did the belief in the Mother Crystal spread so quickly? Everyone's all about the 12 and then we disappear for 5 years and then we get back and everyone's saying, may you ever walk in the light of the crystal. Koji responds, it's all Scion propaganda. They're passing out leaflets or something. I want to push the whole Mother Crystal thing and get that out there. When it comes down to it, there are tens of thousands of people in this world, and most don't know about Mother Crystals, just like most people don't know the planet is called Allegan. There are no TVs, there are no science books. Close to half of the people are illiterate, and a lot of people are still living pre-technology-ish. I mean, there are water clocks and chronometers, and people see things are powered by Aether, but for the most part, people live in shacks, in towns, where they are all, and they don't know what's going on. The people you come in contact with seem to know this stuff, and they're not letting you talk to the rest of the people that have nothing to say. In a super open world game where you have people walking around town like, I'm a farmer because I need to support my family. But the need to condense it down, even in the cities themselves, in theory are way bigger, but we need to condense them down. We give it a sense of being huge, and then we can only add the people that are going to give you the information that you're going to need for the game. We have to ignore the rest, but they're there. And so is the 12th Legion comes in and is laughing, and it takes like 10 guys. Is that a cohort? No. There are people there, but it's just condensed. So GamerEscape asks, so the copied worlds or shards or reflections or what have you, do they all experience all the calamities that we did on the source? Or just one that deletes their world? And Koji says, I can't talk about this. You'll find out soonish. But go ahead and speculate. The Calamities, it's the Ascians that are trying to do this. And their focus is on this world, the source. Take it to mean whatever you need it to mean. Oh my gosh, like, yes. I cannot wait to see what becomes of this. This is really, really interesting stuff. And this makes me really, really excited for 5.0. For the Ascians. But yes, what about these other worlds and the Calamities? Is that Calamity like a world-deleting calamity when Hydaelyn has to absorb it? Can't wait to find out, guys. I'd love to know your speculation in the comments below. So GamerEscape asks, why did it take so long to get those Guild Leaf Saints out there? And Koji responds, it's one of those things. They were reserved for the Guild Leaves. And they were supposed to be this major thing in 1.0, so then we had all this background stuff for it. Then Yoshida comes in and says, it's not a major system, this should be on the side, and we shouldn't have a focus on it. And they just left it for the experience of leveling for your third or fourth job or whatever. So while you still have the Guild Leaves that you can write flavor text for them, there is no more focus for the Saints, and we got to go throw some bits in. We had the Church of St. Alba Lambada, and the saint that walked through the nail and collapsed, but it's one of the old stuff, the stuff that we could use just for flavor. It's hard to bring all them because we had like 50 of them, and there were some really cool ones that didn't make it into this one. You know, this is really cool. I really am looking forward to getting the lore book for Christmas just because of these saints. It was a big thing, and they had these stories wrapped around them, and I'm always hoping that we can kind of see them bring that back. Not the necessity of the Guild Leaf system, but the concept of that. Okay, and so here's the last question that I'm going to cover here in this video. Be sure to check out the full interview. There's a lot of really cool questions. I really hope you enjoy the interview. GamerEscape always does a fantastic job. So GamerEscape asks, ever since we started getting hints of the game's cosmology and about Zodiac and such, sometimes rather than talking about darkness and the interdimensional rift, they seem to name drop the void instead. Is that intentional? Koji says, that's more of a misinterpretation. We're throwing in little bits of misinterpretation. The void was originally, we don't know where it comes from. Then there was no information on early as 10 to 15 years ago for most people. That's why it's void sent. They don't know. They're obviously not from this planet, and they can't be from this planet. We're going to create something we call the void. This is before people actually learn that the void is actually a shard and has lost all its light, and now you have these beings that need Aether, and they break through and suck out the Aether of Hydaelyn. So sometimes the void is still used in the sense of beyond our kin. GamerEscape asks, so even from the Ascian, you really can't be sure what you're talking about, the cosmic void versus the philosophical void? Koji says, there are times that it overlaps, I would think, and you can get that sense. We have the overlapping in terms to create a little bit of fuzz. I hate how games just give you 100% correct information all the time. That never happens in the real world. There's always this little bit of information out there. You hear it, you believe it, and then all these people are saying, it's this though. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe it's this. And I think that is one of the most cool and beautiful things both about the lore book and the world. Also with not having everything solid and planted, like with Yoshida going back earlier saying that, we have the rules of the lore, but we also are not going to, let our writers be completely like owned by it. Like we're going to let this happen. And then obviously the justification comes in is that, well, that was either a misunderstanding or something like that. Like because that gives them the space to play and to build and hopefully to delight us. Guys, like I said, hit the link in the description. Go give GamerEscape some love. Hopefully this video has been interesting for you guys. Lots of really cool information out here. These were some of the questions that I was drawn to. There are other questions out there that you might prefer more. I tend to only cover a little bit and hopefully encourage people to go read the article itself. But anyway, guys, for Work to Game, my name is Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.
Hey guys, it's me. Oh, well, if you don't know me, my name's Terry. I'm a beautiful Tyrannosaurus from Texas, and it just doesn't get more country than that. I tell you what, I grew up in these parts, I was resurrected by a ghost, and that ghost told me that I needed to come out and hang out on Work to Game's YouTube channel to tell everybody they should totally hit that thumbs up. Thumbs down make Terry hungry. It makes me hungry. You hear me? Hungry. Anyway, Terry, just keep it together. Keep it together, Terry. All right, guys. So, with that, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you haven't already to see more of me and my beautiful nose. Okay. All right. Good talking to you. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you real soon. Terry, the Tyrannosaurus from Texas.